Welcome. My name is Anthony Davies. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Forrest Solutions. The purpose of today's webinar is really to debunk everything to do with how we deliver workplace experience talent. I'll let my esteemed colleagues introduce themselves in a second. But just a quick introduction to myself and Forrest Solutions. I've been with Forrest 4 years. I spent 25 years or so working with law firms and banks and advisory firms on all sorts of services and technology offerings. Forrest Solutions, we are now probably well over 2,500 employees, 70 plus cities. We work predominantly with law firms, banks, tax advisory, some technology and corporate clients. Really firms and organizations that set the bar really high for workplace services and workplace experience. When we talk about workplace experience, or WPX as we call it, we're talking about the way in which we create experiences for guests to the office, and that could be an employee, that could be a client, or that could be somebody potentially coming for an interview, a potential peer. The areas that we cover with workplace experience are guest arrival, guest transition, and the guest destination. Everything you do from the minute you walk through the door of a building all the way to sitting at your desk and interacting with all the different services and hospitality through the day. My esteemed colleagues that joining me today, I'll let them introduce themselves. This is the team. This is really the secret sauce behind our WPX offering.
I'm Kate Post, the Chief Talent Officer. I have spent more than 35 years actually in talent acquisition. And I have been with Forrest Solutions for the last 7 years, although I did have previous experience with them as well, always in talent acquisition. I've spent my career finding every single level of individual and professional services for a variety of companies, but really everything but clinical. So from entry level to experienced professionals, I have expertise and run all of the services that do all of the recruiting.
Wonderful. Hi, everybody. My name's Jose Cruz, and I am the Senior Vice President for Learning, Development, and Diversity. My background is in luxury retail. I have currently been with Forrest Solutions for a little bit over 2 years. My background is with Saks Fifth Avenue for about 14 years. Grew up with that company and really helped me understand what brand and culture was all about. After 14 wonderful years at Saks, I had the amazing opportunity to work for Bergdorf Goodman, and even Marcus, the top of the top when it comes to luxury retail. And the last few years, I was with America's Bookstore, who we lovingly call Barnes & Noble. So I'm excited to be here today.
Great. And my name is Petra Parros. I'm the Vice President of Workplace Experience. My role in particular, I work with our leadership and our clients on curating service models, innovation, and operational enhancements when it comes to the workplace experience, and then the service lines that we provide in their efforts during the return to office efforts. So my background, I've always been in hospitality in the hotel industry, starting off with small boutique hotels in Hollywood, and then switching over to the long-term experience working in the luxury resorts with Sandals International, Marriott International, and supporting different initiatives in terms of innovation, like the first mobile key back in 2015. I can't believe it. But I get to partner with people like Jose, Kate, and Anthony on ensuring that we are up to date on what's happening in all of the different industries that we support in workplace experience.
Right. Thank you very much. So what we have here is we have the 3 pillars of workplace experience. We've got hiring the people through Kate and her team. We've got inspiring the people through Jose and his team. And then we've got the constant innovation and progress that Petra and her team bring. So none of our workplace experience offerings, accounts, clients. Nothing ever stands still. We're always looking for improvements. We're interested to know what the attendees do for workplace experience. This is a poll that we're putting up on the screen now. It's going to be up for about 30 seconds. We're not tracking this. This isn't so that we can give you a call and say, I noticed that you don't outsource. So it would just be great if you could fill in as much as possible. It's a very basic poll that gives us a better idea of exactly what we have on the call. I know from a recent poll that we did at a recent client advisory event, we asked everybody, are you focused on workplace experience? And the answer was 60 or 70% said yes, but the year before it was probably half that. And before COVID, nobody even understood what workplace experience meant. So I think I know where the results will go with this. We also include a question in here about whether or not this is focused on employee satisfaction or client experience. I think before COVID, it was very much about creating office space that would impress clients, but we're increasingly seeing employees being impressed as more important. But I don't know how far through we are.
We got about 60% of participants, so keep it open for like 10, 15 more seconds.
10 more seconds. As I say, it's anonymous, so don't feel like that this data is being collected for our sales team to start hammering you. It's just useful for this conversation today. Okay. Right, so it looks like, as expected, almost everybody is in some kind of hybrid environment, 86% and 100% in the office. I'd be interested in a completely separate conversation what 100% in the office means nowadays. But we've definitely seen the majority of our clients moving to a hybrid environment, including ourselves to a certain extent. Has your organization implemented workplace experience? Yes. Again, about 50-50, exactly what we saw in the poll that we did with a whole bunch of clients in our advisory board. If I asked this question 2 or 3 years ago, it was close to sort of 10 to 15%. But at least half of you have implemented it or are considering it, and that's great. And I'm assuming that the ones that have implemented it are here today to find out more about how you hire and inspire and retain the best talent to do that. And then potentially the ones that haven't considered it, we'll share a bit more about some of the benefits that it brings. And interesting, 70% of you say that this is predominantly now about employee satisfaction. And I think everyone agrees that pre-COVID, this was about creating an amazing experience to bring clients into the office. But now attracting, magnetizing employees back to the office is the main driver, definitely, that we see behind focusing on elevating your workplace experience. And there's a bit of a mix there. Administrative leadership, obviously leading the way in terms of the organizations that run the workplace program. We are seeing a growth in this workplace department. Some of our largest clients now, there is a specific department focused entirely on workplace and workplace experience. But that's good to know. We've got a good mix on the call today. Okay, so what else, before I get into making the attendees do some of the work, of course, it's my computer's now not allowing me to open up my questions. Oh, here we go. If you have any questions at all through the discussion, just drop them in the chat. We're going to leave a little bit of time at the end, or if something comes up, we can discuss it in the moment. Or if you feel more comfortable and you don't want to drop it in the chat, then just send it directly to Trish, who's on the call up here. You can send a message directly to Patricia, sorry, and she will make sure that we get those questions. So without further ado, I've invited my colleagues to come and do most of the talking today. So I've got some pre-arranged questions to really start the discussion, and I'll start with Petra. So Petra, when you're thinking about delivering workplace experience, what are the critical skills and qualities that the individuals that deliver the service should possess to excel at delivering workplace experience in a kind of elevated way?
Yeah, I think this is a great question because we get it both from the client side as they're trying to recruit talent, and then we get it from candidates and our current employees in terms of what they need to do in terms of personal development to stay up to speed of what's happening in the industry. And I'll say it always starts with soft skills. And I like to call them essential skills because really, I think we're in a unique place right now in workplace experience where the employees want to be treated like the customer, right? And so you need to have the ability to deal with different personalities. You need to be able to not only have empathy, but communicate empathy so that they feel like that experience resonates with them. And then I feel like there's a critical thinking skill that you need to know the resources that are available to you so that your answer is never no. And Jose and I work together often on just training that in our staff of, okay, do you know your resources? Do you know who to contact if something does go awry? But it doesn't stop there. I think we're seeing a lot of our clients started off with, hey, we want the right personality fit. We want the right person in the role that works with our culture. But the technical piece is so much more important now because our associates are using AI and they're using room booking systems and they're using, video content analysis. They're using all of these technologies, and organizations don't necessarily have the time to train them in that anymore. And to create a good experience, you also need to do the job well. And Jose and I talk about this all the time. And I think that there is a technical piece when it comes to knowing Microsoft Office. People are using Copilot more often now, knowing room booking systems and being able to adapt and learn systems even faster. There needs to be this base level of a technical knowledge going into a role. It's just not about is this the right person, but can they do the job and jump right in and get things done? So I would say it's a combination of that technical skill, but also can you create an experience through just engagement and conversation?
Yeah, I would agree, Petra. I think we've gone back and forth a lot over the last few years since this whole workplace experience piece has really exploded. And do you hire from a hospitality background where it's all about that engagement with the visitors to the office? If you go pure hospitality, do you get the right technical skills?
Right.
Yeah. Kate, maybe you can talk through from a hiring perspective how we at Forrest Solutions ensure that we're hiring the right mix of skills, and not only that, but the values are aligned with the goals of the client.
Absolutely. Jose and Petra and I work very closely on this. I think interesting, a little bit of history, certainly before COVID, many job functions were siloed more or less. But what we have now found, I'm fond of calling it, we really need to find that Swiss Army knife when we go out into the market. And so now a lot of our hiring certainly looks for people coming out of hospitality, but it may not be the only type of job that they have had. We're looking for very often a mix of the corporate and the hospitality. Or if they don't have the hospitality, it comes from the heart. They are people pleasers, they're can-do individuals. So the scope of what we're looking for has really helped us to shape an enhanced process of how we actually go about recruiting. We're very fortunate in that we have built really an engine of 50+ recruiters nationally, and we have a very structured proprietary process that we put our candidates through to be able to assess not only the technical, but through behavioral interviews and a series of behavioral interviews, again, that are very structured through the process, and who's doing them really assess what soft skills do they have, going right back to what Petra started with. And so it really has worked quite well in us, number one, getting from our operations team what the culture is, doing site visits to really assess what the culture is, and making sure that we understand what is the client looking for. The visits, not only beforehand, but really once our employees have started, are still important from the talent acquisition team to make sure that we're constantly honing what could we do different, where could we screen differently, how can we ask enhanced questions to make sure that we're getting the top types of candidates into these roles.
Yeah, it's definitely a benefit from my perspective when we're out as a sales team selling. We're not just in New York, you know, we have different types of clients all over the country, and having a recruiting team that's not just centrally based at the end of a phone, that is actually dispersed across the country, can actually go and meet with clients and can spend time there to understand the culture. That's been a huge benefit for me as we try to sell our proposition. So we've talked through how we hire the people and the type of people that we want, and the way in which we make sure those people are most aligned from a hospitality perspective and from a skills perspective, and that they align from a cultural perspective. We don't get it right first time, every time, but we do a pretty good job. But Jose, perhaps you can talk more about, once the people are on board, how have we developed like comprehensive training programs to equip the team, the members of the team, with the knowledge and skills, and make sure they can deliver that kind of elevated workplace experience.
Thanks, Anthony. I know that for me, looking back from where I've come from, whether it was Saks or Bergdorf or Barnes & Noble, the first thing I always look at is who's our audience. And, you know, working now for an outsourcing company, I had to have a mindset shift to think differently. When you're working, you know, as a guest in someone else's home with all the different clients that we work with. So the first thing I take a look at is who's our audience? Who are we actually teaching? With you a couple of years ago when I began, we talked about the WPX and what that's all about. And really, it's all about how our clients experience the results we deliver. That's really, in essence, what WPX is. For me, it's a culture. It's how we treat ourselves internally and how we treat ourselves externally. It's very, very important. So everything that we create and everything that we start with, Anthony, always begins with this idea of always being kind and delivering it the right way. Because I think that value is important and resonates for everyone, whether it's for our brand or for all the brands that we represent. So we created this really cool journey of WPX. And for me, it's the idea of just continuous education. I think in all great fields that are out there, whether it's accounting or the medical field, fill in the blank, there's always continuous learning. How can we actually learn more in what we're doing? And WPX 1.0 is really the beginning of the journey for all our employees. So whether you work on the operational side for clients or recruitment, as we're going to have a refresher a little later today with Kate's team, or whether you have a finance or the account team, everyone goes through WPX 1.0. It's a representation of our hospitality DNA. We teach them how to deal with service recovery when we have challenging situations. And to Petra's point, it really focuses on the how you do your job, the soft skill, and how you deliver those things. We continue on within their 90-day onboarding to walk them through 5-star hospitality. That just digs a little more deeper into what are the details of our DNA and how do we greet and take care of issues and handle it and escalate and do what's called finish strong. And I love how we use all these phrases like finish strong, above and beyond. Well, for some of our employees, this might be their first real job or their second real job. We have to show them what a great job looks like. So as leaders, it's really, really important to give them those visuals and those stories of how we impact service. And then we get into what's called WPX 2.0, again, a continuous learning. And 2.0 is, 3 months in, 6 months in. How are we feeling? How does WPX resonate with you 6 months later? Do you get it? We go through a really fun, immersive session of going back and forth and making sure people understand how we deliver WPX every single day and how we can't lag on that delivery. And we just literally, not even about a month ago, 2 months ago, just rolled out what we call WPX Masterclass. And the Masterclass focuses on our leaders, making sure that they're delivering and that they have a WPX mindset every single day. And that going through and having our employees go through 1.0 and 5-star and 2.0, that's not just a check off of their list, that they don't have an operational mindset, but a people mindset. So we're holding our leaders accountable to make sure that what we promised our clients is being delivered through them and through our employees. So for me, when it comes to training, it's what's the audience, and it's continuous training and development. And from there, figuring out, what are the soft skills that are needed to make sure that everyone is successful, and the technical jobs, because we have so many different offerings that we have for our clients as well.
Yeah, so it's not one and done with training. It's an ongoing process, and you might see the little pin that I'm wearing, which shows that I've been certified as a workplace experience WPX ambassador, and we put everyone in the company through that, and it's a continuous program, so it helps us all to understand and articulate more what we're looking for and what we deliver. And I guess to a certain extent, Jose, it makes us all a bit nicer to each other as well.
Absolutely. We hold each other accountable for sure.
Exactly. So on that note, Petra, can I ask you a question? Once we've got people on board and we're training them, we're putting through the process and we're elevating them, it's not all top down, right? We want our people to be part of that whole improvement process. So how do you empower your team members to continuously improve and innovate in their roles?
I think that's a great question, because one, that was really the whole purpose of the masterclass is, are we creating a culture on site that fosters the ability for our employees to be comfortable asking questions, be comfortable suggesting and feeling rewarded for implementing new ideas. But I think it starts even before that with really understanding the business and the industry that you are supporting. Nothing that we do is one size fits all. It really needs to be curated and customized to the culture of the client. So in order for the employees to feel confident to say, hey, I want to present this idea, or I want to present this new project, they need to understand the audience, as Jose said, understand, who they're working with, what is their workflow behind the scenes, ask questions, what type of clientele do you support, to make sure what they're suggesting is appropriate for that space. But then again, I think there is this empowerment when there is succession planning conversations that are happening as well. And then being able to connect with colleagues within the industry and see what they're doing elsewhere. I know that that's a big part of my role, is just connecting with leaders throughout all of the industries that we support and asking what's next for them, what's important for them today, because it is changing very quickly and very often. Which can be daunting also for a lot of people. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of new. So I think one important thing, at least, that I tell leaders that I support is take 10 to 15 minutes a day and just read something new about workplace experience. Read something new about a new food and beverage technology. Read something new about a new room booking system that maybe you don't use at your site. Read a publication, read an article, listen to a podcast, just 10 to 15 minutes a day. And that's new information that you can include in your conversations. So I think it's knowing the industry, it's having conversations, it's getting new information, but also feeling involving your employees who are on the ground in the conversation as well, because they deal with the day-to-day. They get the feedback, from the employees and that are on site. So they have a lot of insight. You just need to guide them on what questions to ask to get the right information.
Yeah, and this is it's not new, but it's the way that it's exploded and the way that the services are now expected to be elevated to such a level is quite new for the corporate environment. Certainly the law firms, investment banks, advisory, tax and advisory firms that we predominantly work with, we don't know what we don't know, and the employees are our eyes and ears. And I know Petra does a really good job of. There's no bad ideas.
Yeah.
Come to me with anything, we'll figure it out. So moving on. So Kate, there's as I mentioned, it's kind of exploded, this whole area. Certainly for our business has grown very fast over the last few years. We've done a lot of hiring. We've done a lot of onboarding of clients, of people. So can you talk to some of the innovative approaches that we've used to onboard new teams and new team members, make sure that there's smooth transitions and a smooth integration into an elevated workplace experience or a new workplace experience team?
Sure. I mean, obviously, what we are selling not only to our clients, but certainly to employees that are looking to join us is the elevated level of service. And number one, onboarding starts with how we onboard our employees. So we've taken very much an outside in look at, well, how are we onboarding people? What did we do? So through our own engagement process, I've worked very closely with Jose over the years, engaging with employees on a variety of topics, but certainly on the onboarding process. So we believe that from day one of touching a candidate, that we are providing high-level service and very white glove service, making them feel very special. That occurs throughout them starting on a site day one, because there's a process and a methodology that we follow. That there are touch points for all of our new employees through the first 30 days, and that's from their talent acquisition partner, their HR partner, and certainly their operations partner. We work very closely with the operations team itself in helping to then onboard staff and make them seamless within the new environment that we're in at a client site. One of our other C players, our chief client officer, loves to say, you cannot manage what you do not measure. And so we measure the success of not only onboarding our own staff, but once we're at a client, how we're onboarding into the client's environment. From cornerstone training that is really bespoke to a client in terms of what the operation looks like, in-depth job descriptions, scope of works that really give our staff an understanding, and the management of that staff an understanding of what the KPIs are, not only daily, weekly, quarterly, etc. Getting feedback from the client on a regular basis. We have quarterly business reviews that really require us to ask the client, how are we doing? No different than how we ask our employees on a regular basis how we're doing. We ask the client, how are we doing? And we then measure that, and anything less than a 9 really requires the team, the senior team, the operations team training, look at where we're not delivering a 9+. So there are many people and many departments really involved, and of course constant client feedback. We started a new account this week. We're into the 3rd day. Already the client has seen an incredible difference day 1 and day 2, and has provided us feedback on exactly what they think is going superbly, and questions on, well, what's going to happen the rest of the week, and how do we expect it to go? So information is powerful, and that's what we believe here at Forrest Solutions. No questions are stupid. Information is very powerful.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. And just to clarify, that's 9 out of 10. That's the
Yes, 9 out of 10. Sorry.
that's the score we're going for. Yeah, we don't let our implementation team, which consists of a project management manager, HR, and training. They're not allowed to leave a transition until the client gives us at least a 9. And the latest one's looking good. So, and Jose, just to add on to that, what role does in your role as leading diversity, equity, and inclusion for Forrest Solutions? What role does diversity, equity, and inclusion play in building teams that can cater for these needs of our clients?
I think about where I came from, and what Saks Fifth Avenue did for me was they did a really good job of creating a foundation of inclusivity. And it really, really resonated with me 25 years ago when I started with them, how important it was, whoever you were in the organization, you know, man, woman, gay, straight, people of color, it didn't make a difference. How do I fit into this organization and into this brand and culture? And I was really, really, really excited a couple of years ago when I joined the company that diversity was going to be under my belt, because it's a very, very sensitive topic for me. And for me and for my team, everything that we create, we look at it with what I call a D&I lens. Does this resonate? Does this make sense? Do we feel inclusive? So on and so forth. So, you know, we've created a lot of really great specific training that was geared for our organization. One of the ones that we've received most accreditation for is mental health awareness. Let's talk about it. Everyone, you know, it's something that every single employee has to actually go through. It's not a choice. We want them to feel that they have people that they can talk to and that they're supported through our HR team. You know, we've created sessions on pronouns, which were important. We've created sessions on bias, and we're always thinking about how else can we create inclusivity in our culture here at Forrest Solutions. We have a great D&I committee of about 10 to 12 folks that are throughout the entire company, different colors, different folks that gives like we go back and forth and we exchange information. We challenge each other about, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Does this sound right? Oh, that might not be too sensitive, so on and so forth. And then, you know, we look at D&I from a informational perspective, and we've sent out now for years on different occasions on things that we're highlighting or celebrating our initiatives, the educational piece behind Black History Month, or the educational piece behind Cinco de Mayo, or the educational piece behind Pride, where it came from, how it came to be. And every time we send out those type of pieces, I always get response back saying, I didn't know that. That's amazing. Great information. Thank you so much for sharing. So we always look at everything that we create from a learning development perspective, from the lens of DE&I, to see, are we creating a culture of inclusivity?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know from a employee perspective that the work that you do, Jose, is very well received. So before I get on to my last question, which I'm gonna give to Petra, who's over there somewhere. By the way, this format, I have to give a quick shout out to Dylan and Patricia on the call, who we set them the goal of creating something a little unusual, a little forward thinking with the format. And I think they've done a great job. But before I get on to the last question, please feel free to drop questions in the chat, or as I say, send questions to Patricia. But Petra, we've built the team. We've hired the team. We're constantly training and developing the team. We've built a culture that aligns with the client. We've built a culture of inclusivity. We're driving innovation. We're always trying to move forward. But how do you measure it? How do you measure the success of a workplace experience team? What are the KPIs? How do you evaluate effectiveness? What kind of technology, what AI, what reporting? Mm-hmm. You're right in the middle of all this, delivering some of the most forward-thinking workplace experience contracts for some of our most prestigious clients. How do you do it?
Yeah.
How do you measure it?
I think it does start with the technology piece. I think that now more than ever, people are looking for systems that have cross-functional usage to create good data. So it's not just people, clients aren't looking for one system that does one thing. They want it to do multiple functions within their organization. So they want it to do visitor management and access control, or they want it to do space planning and asset management. And using that data together will create an opportunity for them to identify not only the quantitative piece, but the qualitative piece. So the quantitative piece is what is one, asking for feedback, is employee satisfaction. It's the utilization of spaces. So which conference rooms are being used the most? When we build out our new space or when we move, is it being used? Is it not being used? Do we need to maybe recreate the way that this space is being utilized? But then looking at the data and then attaching it to human behavior. Are people using this room because of the technology that's in it, or because at 3 p.m., every day it gets hot in this room and nobody wants to utilize this space because the sun is beaming into it, right? So there needs to be this, not only the collection of data, which I think our clients are doing a better job of collecting, and we've been providing technology and spaces that can do that. But it's asking questions and how you're using the data from there to implement things and redesign the space and recreate what's happening on the field. So I think the space planning piece is where we're seeing a lot of it, but people are using even video content analysis to look at cameras to see how people are staying and how long people are staying in the office. I know Anthony used the term coffee badging, which is, people are coming in, they're having breakfast, they're having lunch, and then after that, they leave for the day at 2 p.m., right? They're not staying the full day. So being able to use technology, whether it be people are using Teams or Google to analyze how long people are online. That works for certain industries. There's other industries where people don't want their time tracked. They feel uncomfortable with that. So it really, what we do is we partner with the companies and talk about what's the mission of organizations in their industries, because it can be very different. And then use the technology that is cross-functional that can be used for multiple intent, and then get the feedback, talk about it, look into it a little bit deeper from there.
So can you talk a bit more about the actual reporting? This isn't a once a year send a spreadsheet process, right?
It is not. It is not. It's really a daily, weekly report that people should be looking at in terms of activity. So what are the busy days, especially in a hybrid space, right? If they're only coming in Tuesday through Thursday, we work with people to make sure that there's someone on site every day, but how are they utilizing the space when they are there? And we've noticed, and especially in a lot of spaces, sometimes those one-person offices people are fighting for them. People want to be on their own, taking their call intimately, or they're using the big public spaces to do more collaboration, moving tables around, right? But you need to look at it at a weekly basis, really to make sure that you understand the trends that are going on, and then put it all together. So, for a lot of our tax firms, the first month of every quarter is the busy time frame. So that's when they know they need more people on site, more janitorial support, more whatever it may be. They have more events, during those time frames because there's more people in the office. So taking what you're collecting on a weekly basis and looking at big picture and asking the right questions.
Yeah, and I guess one of the big benefits of outsourcing to someone like us is that part of our remit is to provide all that data and reporting.
Right. We have conversations with competitors, with the top firms. We're very niche because we want to make sure that the clients that we have the intention of wanting this white glove service that we're providing, right? It's very unique. And so we get to have those great conversations and see what's going on and what they're doing and what they're thinking about, so that we can apply that to everyone, because we want to be ahead of the game. It can be, whether it be workplace experience, whether it be facilities management, it can sometimes be reactive. And so the goal is being proactive in the solutions that we're thinking about and providing to our clients.
So we're almost at the end of the 45 minutes. I wonder, Patricia, do you have any questions that have come in directly for the panel?
Hi, Anthony. Yes, I did get just a couple. I did get one question, since we're talking about the KPIs, about measuring ROI. Is it possible to do that? And if so, how do organizations measure ROI?
Yeah, I think from a personal perspective, when we go to sell these services to our clients, that's the first question. How much does it cost, and what do I get for it? I think the two big metrics that we look at are, if you're going to expect people back at the office, then you really need to measure the employee experience. And we certainly see in the really heavy workplace experience clients, mainly in the financial and banking world, and some of our legal clients, where there has been a real return to office remit, when there has been a big investment in real estate and the services attached to workplace experience, we do see a 20 to 30% increase in employee engagement. We've also seen a large increase in actual office return for some of our advisory clients, who are historically hybrid, but making the office a destination and really layering in all of these workplace experience services has generated a noticeable jump, 10 to 20% increase in return to office. So I think those are the two metrics. Petra, I'm not sure if you measure any others in terms of ROI.
I mean, I think it can boil down to also retention of employees.
Right.
Right. Within employees in top talent, companies are competing for, hey, this is what it looks like to be in our office. This is the culture of our company. This is what you can get. These are the benefits, right? And when there is an alignment between the employee, and Kate does an amazing job with her team of ensuring that it's the right fit, that the person's values align with the client site that they're on. You get people, when that aligns with the mission of the firm and really the workplace experience mission as well, you get people who want to stay with the company. They want to come on site. It's not an issue if they have to commute in or whatever it may be. And I think that retention is a huge piece as well, that employee satisfaction, which in the poll, people are talking about or want to know more about. It does have to do with, are you listening? Are you not just making decisions on a high level, but getting down and having conversations with key stakeholders like the administrative team? They're the most vocal and will give the most feedback and want input, even after there's new initiatives that are rolled out. Are you taking their advice, their feedback, and applying that to make the adjustments that are necessary to continue to improve maybe new technology that you rolled out? So I think retention is a huge ROI as well.
Well, it came through in the poll at the beginning that 70% of organizations on this call that are implementing workplace experience, that the main objective is employee experience.
Right.
So that makes sense. So I think one last question, Trish, and then I'll close the call.
Okay, so we have a question from Priscilla, who says, I'm curious about the pressure and stress that high expectations can place on an organization and its staff. How can we aim to deliver top-notch onboarding and customer service while maintaining low stress levels and high motivation?
I would love to take part of that.
Petra, it's all yours.
I think it starts with the leadership. I think we do in our WPX training a specific activity where we talk about, we do an example where leaders come into the space and we show the difference between when you come in for your day and you have low engagement, you have low energy. And then we do another activity where the energy is different and you see how the room responds to it. I think a lot of the time it starts with leadership. It starts with how you show up every day, what conversations you're having. Most organizations are focused on the development of revenue generating roles. What we do really well and what we focus on is the development of roles like administrative staff, like receptionists, like office services, and the development of teams that won't necessarily always get the training and development that they would get in an organization that is focused towards finance, that's focused towards law, right? And so I think it's really starts with how you show up every day, and that's the core of hospitality. It's the experience, it's the feeling in the way that you're leading. So I think it starts there, but then also
I think we lost
Oh,
Petra. The most important point.
Well,
I think one of the things that I would add in is that we're hiring people either from a hospitality background or people that want to be in a hospitality environment and are looking for that type of environment to work in. And they want the support and they want the training and they want the guidance to make the most of it. Jose.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback on what Petra was talking about, when we train and onboard our employees, we say to them, the job that we're asking you to do is really not that hard. We're asking you to service people, to make their life easier. How can we make the clients that we're working with make their lives more effective and more efficient? And we always say to them, it's how you make them feel. Do the job, but how do you make them feel? What does that look like? And we always say there's a great exercise that we do when we talk about the customer service equation is make it memorable, have fun, enjoy yourself. How can you have the people that you service remember who you are and the brand that you deliver every day? So in the end, we have a lot of fun here at Forrest Solutions as far as how we take care of our clients.
And on that note, I think we're at the end of the 45 minutes and a bit. I think Petra ran off to deal with some client matter. She's very attentive like that. So on behalf of the team here, Kate, Jose, Petra, everybody that attended, thank you so much. Patricia, Dylan, thank you for the amazing technology you put together. Great conversation. Hope to speak to you all soon, one day. Thanks for attending.